103.2 Preston FM.
We dare to be different.
So the next thing I'm going to ask you is, what was your favourite interview? Who was the best person you interviewed this year? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I must say I've thought of a favourite song as well. We'll play that a little bit later on to spread things out a little bit. But that's interview. Well, the best interview. This is really difficult because we interview so many fascinating people. I know you've got one that you're particularly thinking about.
Well, there are several that stand out. One was the newcomer, the waiter at the Parks Art Deco Cafe in Stanley Park, Blackpool, Scott Dennett. We just threw it at him. It was a very last-minute thing, and I thought he spoke extremely well, bearing in mind he wasn't prepared at all, and he'd never, in fact, done an interview before.
Absolutely. A bit of Scott Dennett coming up a little bit later. We'll run our interview with him and also one of his songs, which, if you haven't heard yet, are absolutely incredible. To be honest, I've been thinking about this, and I think a very interesting interview that we did, which would explain a lot of things that people don't know, was the one with Colin Callander at the ladies' golf, where he explained what happens when the weather's bad.
Oh, yes, that's true. That would be fascinating.
Because you watch these golf tournaments on the television, and then sometimes if the weather's bad, they have a stoppage. But what happens if there's a stoppage all day? Because they've got a very set timetable of what happens when. And Colin went into that into great detail, and I think this is fascinating. Here's Colin Callander talking about what happens when rain stops play in golf tournaments.
Yes, certainly. They started as planned at 7 o'clock this morning and played for 1 hour and 18 minutes, at which point it became clear that the golf balls were moving on the greens. At that point, it became essential to suspend play. And at this moment in time, some 2.5 hours later, whatever it is, play is still suspended because the wind is as strong as it was then.
Now, who makes that decision, and how does it actually work? Because obviously you've got people all around the golf course on different holes in different positions.
At the end of the day, it comes down to the person in charge of the tournament who makes the ultimate decision, but she will have been advised by the referees on the golf course, who were obviously aware that the balls were moving on greens, which makes golf, frankly, impossible to play.
So now we're waiting for the weather to improve before they can restart, presumably?
Yeah, the situation at the moment is we're completely on hold. We're in the lap of the gods, as it were. They had a forecast earlier this morning to suggest that the wind will start abating sometime around midday. The plan then would be to get the players back on the golf course, get as much play as possible done today. But it must be said, there is no way now that we will get the second round completed by tonight.
So in those sort of circumstances, bearing in mind you've got the cut to come and you've got the final 2 days play, what actually happens in that situation?
Again, it all depends on the weather. But if we say that the wind it does improve today and they get some play in today, what will then happen tomorrow is that they will finish the second round. There will be the cut as normal, and they will start the third round. Had the tournament been played as normal, they would have the top 65 in ties who make the cut would have gone out in 2 balls from 1 tee only. I suspect what they'll do is that they'll make it a 2 tee start again, and they will play in 3 balls, which enables them to get round the golf course quicker, and hopefully then will enable them to finish the 4th round on Sunday as normal.
Is there any possibility of extending the competition if the weather remains bad?
I think.
Does that happen?
Yes. This is one of the game's major championships, so I think they will definitely look at the fact whether they can extend into Monday, or they may decide that they will only play 3 rounds. There is precedent for that. Many years ago, before it was a major, there was a rain delay and they decided to stop the tournament after 3 rounds. Being a major, I suspect they would like to play 4 rounds. And they will investigate whether in fact they can do that logistically. I know for a fact, for example, there is a ladies event in America next week starting Thursday. The American pros and the members of the LPGA will want to get back there in time for that. All these things will be taken into consideration.
Now, presumably the players who've already started and had their balls being blown around on the course already, if play restarts and the weather improves, they'll actually have started off at a disadvantage because that play's already gone ahead, hasn't it? And presumably they don't get any recognition for that.
Funnily enough, that's not necessarily the case. Under the rules of golf, the championship committee could, if they so wished, scrub today's play so far and start again. I think it'll come down to equity. They'll make up a decision based on the fact Were the players out there seriously disadvantaged? I think the answer to that is possibly yes. But again, that's a decision that only the tournament committee can make. I think they'll be talking about that now, I would imagine.
People will be looking at this and saying, "Oh, it's the British weather again." Does this happen anywhere else, or is it only here?
No, I mean, weather delays are relatively common. I mean, I think I read recently that there's been 18 weather delays in America this year, mainly caused by torrential rain, as we said, not wind. But it's a fairly common occurrence. The players will be sitting in the players' lounge at the moment, totally relaxed because they're used to this sort of thing.
And that's quite handy because that leads into the best organised media company for sports events is definitely IMG, which and they run the Ricoh Women's British Golf Championship the media area, and they're absolutely fantastic. So they get the prize for that.
And they do lots of other things as well. I think they do some of the tennis tournaments and all sorts of things around the world.